All right, as usual, this topic was generated from a comment in for my last video. And before you say millennials team, that's impossible. We can't replace every single job with AI. Think about what you're listening to right now, what you're looking up at the screen, the thumbnail that you clicked on, and the script in front of me. All of these things were generated with AI. I don't need to be an artist. I don't need to be a writer. I don't need to be creative. I don't need to be anything. If I want to do this, I can let artificial intelligence do this. And you know how long it takes to develop skill? True skill at doing something takes years of doing something. And when you can take away that, plug all that information into an artificial intelligence program, it really diminishes how effective a human being can be. The only time that it stops me from generating ideas or generating a product, generating images, is if I'm nitpicking a thumbnail for the channel, it will sometimes stop and tell me that other people need to use the computer and that I need to give it 6 minutes. I don't know why it's 6 minutes before I can submit another request to refine the thumbnails, because I have a whole process of generate it, then I add something to it, then I tell it to take something away, then add something, take away. And depending on the day, the character that I generate for the thumbnail can have different color hair, different color eyes, freckles, look sad, look happy, look indifferent, anything I want. I don't have to draw it, I just have to tell it to do it. Just as with anything else, this particular script was written from the perspective of, again, my favorite perspective, Susie Rottencrotch with 10 kids, no husband, and she works at a 7-Eleven. That's who wrote this script. That's the perspective of this particular script. So, with that said, our talking points today are going to be the profit driven push for automation, the illusion of job security. Again, a topic I constantly come back to because it's near and dear to me as a person that's probably going to lose their job to some sort of automation or just because of the fact that I'm not good at doing my job. The social impact of humanless workplaces. If we have humanless workplaces, we have moneyless societies. That's just what it comes down to. We humans don't really have a whole lot of functionality besides selling our labor to the corporations and getting a hot dog for a day's work. That's really what it comes down to. But without further ado, let's get into our three talking points. Today, I'm actually going to read the full talking point because it didn't make any sense to rip out snippets from something this good. All right, let's go. Companies are increasingly choosing automation, not because it does the job perfectly, but because it's cheaper. It's always cheaper to eliminate the human element from every single thing out there, and more profitable. Machines don't need breaks, health insurance, or benefits, making them an ideal employee for corporations focused solely on the bottom line. This drive for profit is slowly phasing out jobs for everyday people. This is something that I've heard in the last 10 days, is that pensions have been phased out for the proletariat. You know what a pension is? A pension is a guarantee that you're going to have money after you stop working, but it's an archaic idea that you're going to provide people money at the end of, let's say, 20 years of working at a particular job, but no one stays for 20 years because no one can afford to stay at any job for any amount of time because they won't raise your wages. This comes up in the comments constantly. I need a raise. Every corporation, especially the lower tier jobs, will give you one response. You will get a raise when the minimum wage goes up, and not a penny till then, because we can replace you so easily that it doesn't make sense to invest in workers. Workers need very expensive things. They need health insurance is outrageously expensive. You know that. I know that. And finding the time to even use your health insurance becomes another problematic thing because when it comes time that we need to take care of ourselves in order to get the car repaired, in order to get the kids to school or start or go back to school yourself because you've got to upskill yourself. But most people don't want to do that. I asked someone this morning, salon girl number two, if she was done with her education. And she said she didn't know what she wanted to do. And I'm like, you can't do this for the rest of your life. And she just looked at me with the saddest eyes because she knows that she's not going to be able to do better. She's never going to have health benefits. She's never going to have regular benefits. She's never going to be able to own a home. Home ownership for the proletariat, especially Susie Rottencrotch right now, who maybe went to trade school, because this girl went to trade school for about 2 years after high school, and now she's doing her trade. But for all of you naysayers in the comments, going to trade school isn't lucrative for a lot of people, especially if you're just going to go to beauty school. It ensures that you're going to be making $16 to $18 when you get out of that trade school. They're not setting you up for success. For all of those people down there in the comments constantly talking about trade schools, they're not a viable option. Mike Rowe has made a career out of pretending to work, just like Donald Trump pretended to go to McDonald's. That's what going to a trade school is. You're just going to go to a place, and then when you come out, because you don't have the 5 to 10 years of experience, you're going to be in the same boat as a person who works at Walmart. I finished all of my education, all four of my college degrees, and when I got out, there was no job waiting for me. It was as if I hadn't even gone to school. It was so humiliating having to put on a retail uniform with my name tag there so everyone could see that Millennial Steam was a loser. Being called by your name while you work in a grocery store as being a highly educated person was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my house. It it I struggled to continue going when that's all I could do. Working in retail as an educated person is one of the damnedest things you're ever going to have to do because the other people look at you. They know what you sound like. They know that you're a person that shouldn't be there. In fact, I've had many people come up to me while I was wearing a Walmart uniform and ask me if I was a doctor. And that includes customers and other workers. And I'm like, why would a doctor be working here? And that's what they couldn't figure out. A lot of the time that I've ended up in a low end job, everyone that works there assumes I'm a corporate spy. They are sent by the headquarters in order to check up on the people that work in that job. And this has been happening to me throughout my entire life because I don't fit in to the bottom level jobs. I never have. I never will, hopefully. But when people don't know, they listen to you talk and like, wow, you have some pretty good ideas. Now, they're actually pretty bad ideas, or else I wouldn't have ended up working here at this fast food restaurant, or God only knows all the terrible, awful jobs I've ever had in my life, including living in the desert for an extended period of time for 6 months as a research assistant. That has to be one of the worst things I've ever had to do for money in my life. I mean, it's probably down there with cleaning up the floor at a show, at a strip show. Anyhow, moving on to talking point number two. Many workers believe their jobs are irreplaceable because they think only humans can do the job right. And that's definitely not true. Yet, as technology advances, roles we once thought safe, like cashiers, have been replaced by what do they call them? I'm drawing a blank. Self checkout. Every time you look at a self checkout machine, think of it. It's taking the job of three people in one day. Why do I say the three people? Because it's not working a morning shift, it's not working an afternoon shift, and you don't have a human being working a night shift. That's how it takes three jobs. That machine saves the benefits that the corporation would have to pay to three different employees. Or if you break it down to even lower standards, it's doing every self check out, if they hire a person for 20 hours, is doing the job of 6 people every single day. And that's just one. Listen to that. That's the ratio. One self checkout machine does the job of 6 part-time people, and it never calls out sick. It never shows up late. It just didn't have a fight with its boyfriend. It can't get pregnant. Well, I don't want to. No, you don't even want to explore that option. Actually, let's just go in a different direction here. Um, okay, so let's go. Let's back up here real quick. Yet as technology advances, roles we once thought as safe, like cashiers, warehouse workers, and even customer service reps, are gradually being filled by automated systems. This shift threatens livelihoods, especially in low income sectors, and brings into question how safe any job really is. Now, I'm going to bring up the customer service reps and sales reps as well. Because if you've ever bought insurance through Lemonade, which is entirely online, there's no way to to a person at a lot of these corporations anymore. Whether you're buying something or you need to talk about the service with another human being, there's no way. Amazon probably had to have some sort of lawsuit against it for them to start offering someone to talk to, because they made it so complicated. I remember going in loop after loop after loop wanting to return something that it automatically said was not returnable, and I'm like, there has to be a way of talking to someone. Currently, the program that I use, Adobe Illustrator, one of the most evil corporations on the planet, because I lost the original installer that I actually downloaded from Amazon. When I bought my software from Amazon, they decided that they were no longer going to provide software after just 2 years. If you didn't have your downloader, you had to repurchase your software. And I tried every possible method. I looked everywhere on the internet that I could. And if I didn't have a 23 or 24 installer for my software, or those were the 2 years that they actually have on the website. But if you had a 22 or below installer of Adobe Illustrator, you couldn't find that software anywhere to save your life. And it drove me nuts because I even pulled my old computer out from the corner over there. I plugged it back into everything that I have over here to try and get use out of Illustrator, because Illustrator is where I go to render all of my videos. And I couldn't make videos without Illustrator, or excuse me, Premiere. I don't know why I keep confusing the programs. I'm looking at it right now and I'm still confusing the names of it. So, Adobe Premiere, you had to have that. So they forced me into buying a 2024 license when I had a fully functional 2022 that I was using on the computer before I upgraded to this computer. I literally, no, actually, I didn't even upgrade. I had to rebuild my system because it was acting up. I had these artifacts on my screen. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to just rebuild Windows, bring it right back up. And when I brought it back up, the 2022 installer wasn't there. I thought, okay, I'll just go download it. Nope. Look for it everywhere. Nope. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because this is happening more and more. Customer service is going away. It's being replaced with artificial intelligence, either a voice or a chat bot. When I worked at the call center for Insight, we were required to stay logged in to chat for as many companies as we possibly could. You were doing chat tech support, not for one person or two people, but up to 5 people at the same time. You were expected to stay in constant communication with those people. At my current job, it is impossible, in order for the limited amount of staff to do all of the work possible. So they're looking into replacing positions with artificial intelligence software that can handle more of those service calls that are low level. If you work at a help desk right now, if you're level one help desk and you went to school in technology thinking you just get your foot in the door with the help desk isn't going to be around very long. In fact, it's an antiquated purpose. It doesn't. It's an antiquated system that has been out of date for a long time. But as a person who worked at a help desk in 2019, when I was working for Insight, it was a tier two help desk, and you could feel that it was almost unnecessary. The help desk is kind of like newspapers still in grocery stores. They're there for the people who don't understand how to use the technology to get what they want. And help desk jobs are very simple. They're usually power on, power off your machine, or password resets. That's pretty much level one help desk right there in a nutshell. They don't need people to do that job, and they haven't for a long time. And it is one of those jobs that's not going to be saved. Warehouse worker, the bots are already being built to do, well, a lot of the work in a warehouse is already done by robots moving around. I mean, I've heard of those robots running over people's feet in the warehouse, but they're going to automate them even further. All those dock workers who think that they're going to save their jobs by not allowing automation inside of a docking yard because they want to keep their jobs, they're not going to keep their jobs. They know it's already been done in other parts of the world. They have fully automated dock workers. The trucks move around, the cranes move around. They're all being controlled by GPS and artificial intelligence. We know they can do that because we see the Waymo cars driving around everywhere. At least where I live here in Arizona, seeing a car driving itself used to be weird, right? Something right out of a sci-fi movie, but no. And the taxis, I believe the Tesla has the driverless taxis, the robo taxis from the original. Oh God, why do I keep drawing blanks here? Total Recall. Remember RoboCops? That already exists. Tesla's already invented that. The Waymo car, the driverless car, has been around, and they're going to make more of society. And I hate to use this expression, a driverless society. And some industries have pushed back, right? The self checkout isn't the best, and it's very easy. As a person who worked at self checkouts for many years, people try all kinds of harebrained ideas in order to trick the self checkout. I've seen people scan a block of ramen and then put meat inside of their bags. And then, or, there's all kinds of shenanigans going on at the self checkout. So it's not a perfect system. But would you rather have that broken system or have to pay for people? And the the answer's simple. There's 8 cashiers at my Kroger's on each side that are self-checkout, and there's one or two human registers that are, these women are older than the freaking hills that run those registers, right? These are people that are probably being protected by the Kroger's union that they have to have those jobs. But everyone else, since I've been working this since the pandemic, everyone else in the store is gone. The pandemic cleared the retail industry for some places, for some stores. There's maybe 3 people left at the Kroger's across the street that still work there pre-pandemic. And there are some that never came back from the pandemic. You guys know what I mean by that. All right, our final talking point here is as automation takes over, communities dependent on these jobs are left with high unemployment, fewer opportunities, and increased income instability. For many, it's not just about losing a paycheck, it's about losing a sense of purpose, community, and stability. The real cost of automation isn't just profit and efficiency, it's the human toll on families, neighborhoods that can't compete with the machines. We are already living in a society where the human toll is being felt everywhere. Ask anyone how far their paycheck goes. And I read this in the comments this section. People are like me right now. They're making the most money they've ever made in their entire lives, and yet it's not enough. You're still going hungry. You still can't afford the rent. You still can't afford your car. You still can't afford to work that job. And if that's really where we're at, where you could be making a 6 figure salary and everything is so expensive that 6 figures isn't middle class anymore. They more and more people that looks like they're making a lot of money on paper aren't making a lot of money. Right now, what I make would have been great money in 1995. 1995's money right now for the people would have been an amazing paycheck. Right now, you're not living. You're in survival mode all the time. You don't know what to do. You're full of anxiety. You look at your neighbors that are just as bad. When I look down the hallway here, cell block B, and I see all the inmates going down the hall, and I'm like, wow, the guy in that particular cell has been swapped out, I don't know, maybe 10 times since I've lived here. Because even though these are the cheapest, the most disgusting apartments in this area, they're still not cheap enough. When you look at what rent in the good parts of town cost, it's $3,000 to $5,000 per month to live in that luxury condo. You will never make that much money if you're down and you're part of the proletariat. If you're working an hourly job, the chances are that you are never going to amount to anything. Hourly jobs are the work of the devil. Satan's handiwork has it in hourly jobs anymore. That's why automation is so dangerous to the proletariat, because we don't have anything else to sell. Susie Rottencrotch isn't doing as well as she used to back there behind the Taco Bell. Even Susie Rottencrotch is having to tighten up her belt right now because it's tough. It's tough out there for people that shouldn't be suffering. I should have thousands of dollars in my savings account. I should be rolling in it. But guess what? The only thing I'm rolling in is constant stress about losing my job. Not so much to automation, but the same thing applies. There's no stability in the work market right now. These corporations are actively looking to get rid of the human component inside of all of their business. The 99% is becoming obsolete in real time. What do you do when you can't get a job at Taco Bell because everything's automated? What do you do when, the car wash is fully automated? We just drive through the conveyor belt. A car wash used to be all hands and elbows and beep. When it came to washing cars, then they automated it. That took away jobs. When gas used to not be able to pump your own gas, now again they may not have gas pumping robots, but the attendant that used to be there to pump your gas for you, his job's been long gone for a long time. Although I think it's regional. I think there are still some states or some regions where they still have people who pump your gas. But here in Arizona, I've never seen it. So there are certain industries that have been completely destroyed by technology. You want to know a place where the people have felt technology and the advancements of reality hurt them the most? Think of West Virginia, coal country, where people smell of the land, and your your family might be a lot closer than you think. There might be some genetic issues there. But if you don't believe that it's a threat to all of society, and that because, and this is something you guys bring up in the comments and something I think of a lot. So once all the jobs are done by robots and we have all this surplus of money, you would think that we would build a utopian society, right? The robots are doing the work. You don't need Johnny Sixpack doing anything. Susie Rottencrotch, well, Susie Rottencrotch is giving it away for free because she's getting thousands of dollars of universal basic income. That's not true. Once they don't need people, all you're going to do is see the rate of homelessness increase, because we know that rich people don't give two beeps about poor people. In fact, if this is their way of giving poor people the middle finger by just saying straight up, we don't need you, or we're moving that part of the business to some godforsaken hellhole in a part of the world that you've never heard of and hope that you'll never have to visit. That's where this world is going. There is nothing good happening in this world unless you're already rich.